time now for everyone's favorite segment of the week. Frank, it is time.
It's time for a good old-fashioned Q&A, MMA fans.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment has arrived to hear from the man himself.
That's me,
Ariel
baby.
Helwani. Live from the Box Studios in beautiful New York City, it's
Doing this early.
the nose.
Keep you on your
and
toes.
Now, to answer your questions, get out of your seats and on your feet because here he is.
Here I am.
Ariel Helwani.
Here I am once again. I'm torn into pieces. Thank you very much to Mike Heck for that tremendous theme music. Let's not waste any time. We do have some breaking news right at the very top of the On the Nose segment. What's wrong, Frank? What's happening?
Joe
today?
just sat there and watched me tap that button 8 times in a
what's
row.
happening? Is everything okay? I mean, what is
This all
going on?
started at lunch. Joe mentioned that they messed up his order, and he's like, you know what? This is the first sign.
Wow,
that everything's
it's
going to
be a bad
today.
day. What was the order?
They just weren't listening to him. He was like, "Can
Which
I get?"
spot?
We went to this place called Naya. It's a Mediterranean food.
Oh,
And he was like, "Can I get a bowl?" And they're like, "Sure. Do you want wheat or white?" And he's like, "No, a bowl, not a pita." And they're like, "Okay, cool." And they just start putting lettuce on there.
Just a mess. Yeah, it's just been one of those days. Reminds me of Limp Bizkit back in the day. Just one of those days.
And then Al Shadi's giving me crap for
what?
Look, it is Iggy Pop that originally did The Passenger.
Yeah.
Susie and the Banshees covered it.
So what's he giving you crap for?
Because I second guessed myself.
Oh, I felt like it was just a comprehensive answer.
Yeah.
You got a big day ahead of you, right? You're going 24 hours around these parts. Should we give him a shout out?
I mean, if you want, sure.
I mean, I'm just a company guy. I like to give a shout. No one gives me a shout out, but I like to give them a shout
Lonnie's
out.
going to be there as well.
Wow, what do we got?
We're doing a 24-hour Twitch stream with Polygon.
That's fun.
It's called Polygonathon.
Okay.
And that should be fun.
And that starts when? Tomorrow, right? At midnight?
It ends on Friday.
Starts noon on Thursday to noon on Friday.
Wow,
and
that's
it's
crazy.
a charity stream.
And where's the money going to?
It's one of the trans organizations. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. Give me a second.
All right. No, it's all right. I put you on the spot there. Okay, let's answer some questions. Good luck to them. El Cubano first. He leads us off. Hola, Ariel. Although UFC 275 has 2 title fights, the fight that I am most looking forward to is the rematch of Zhang Weili and Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I would imagine you're one of many. I would like to know your thoughts on how different this fight will be due to it not only being a rematch, but also being a 50-minute fight as opposed to the 25 minutes allotted in the first matchup. Very good point. Also, big news, I'm currently moving back home after nearly 5 years, Mazel Tov, meaning I'm driving to Miami from Colorado as you are reading this. Wow. Maybe he's listening. I have not heard Monday's episode, and I will not be hearing today's episode until Thursday. Okay, he is not hearing. But I'd like to thank you and the crew in advance for helping me knock out 6 to 8 hours of this 28-hour journey. Viva Helwani. Wow, that is incredible. Good luck to the Cubano family on the big move and the sort of cross-country. I mean, that's pretty cross-country, Colorado to Miami. Yeah, there's so many questions about this fight. I don't know if I have the guts to pick Joanna, but she seems in a great spot. You got the stamp of approval from Carolina. Of course, she's going to say that they're buds and training partners. But there is a newfound confidence in Joanna. It does seem like, I will say though, 2.5 years or 2.25 years off, somewhat of a red flag. 25 minutes versus 15. I feel like it's a toss-up for both. Zhang hasn't fought in a 15-minute fight in a minute as well. It's really, to me, how is the layoff going to hurt her or help her? It could have helped her, right? It could have got her healthy. It could have got her back on track mentally, physically. She got the new contract, all that stuff. Or it could hurt her because she hasn't fought as much as Zhang. Zhang is coming off those 2 losses to Rose, but I thought she looked really good in the last one, even though she lost the fight as opposed to the first one where she got knocked out. Very tough fight to call. Close fight the first time. Tremendous fight the first time. I'm battling confidence issues as well. In the heart, I see a Joanna path to victory. I think it remains standing. I think the fight will be very close, a phone booth type of fight. Will be interesting to see. Zhang, didn't train this time with Cejudo and company, to the best of my knowledge, but is she going to try to utilize more of that grappling that she tried to utilize against Rose? That, to me, would be the smart play. I'm really curious to see how this one plays out. And the 15 minutes is a big deal. You don't get those extra 10 minutes. I will just say this. I think Joanna at plus money is a worthwhile look. We'll leave it at that for now. Dan, Ariel, you've said that the UFC wants to hold Nate out to try to make the Conor fight. While I agree they should try to get him a fight if he wants to fight, I'm confused as to why Nate wouldn't want to do this. Having the last fight in a deal be Conor McGregor coming off a broken leg is an opportunity that I'm surprised the UFC would be willing to give him. In addition to all the money he would make from the fight itself, if you were managing Nate, isn't the no-brainer to wait for the Conor fight? Last I heard, by the way, I mean, Conor could come back February, March or so. It doesn't look like he's coming back in 2022. So now here you have a guy who hasn't fought since June of last year. He's going to wait a year and a half for a dude that obviously he knows he'll make money fighting him. But does he really want to sit around in the prime of his life when he's as popular as can be for this fight? And who knows? By the way, what if Conor is coming back and stumbles and gets hurt again? You know, there's a million different things that could happen. There's no guarantee that he's coming back tomorrow, next month, the month after that. And the last I heard was early 2023. There's no rush here, as there shouldn't be a rush because he's coming back from such a gruesome and serious injury. So I sympathize with Nate. I do hear that we might be swimming in a positive way. We'll see. We've heard this before. We've talked about this before. We might be swimming in a positive direction. We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if they come to some sort of agreement. I would like it's a coin toss right now. I've always felt like at some point he's going to have the one fight and maybe he signs for a shorter deal. The whole thing's a big toss up at the moment. Poirier Chandler, we'll see. But I don't think the next time we see Nate, whenever it is in the octagon, will be Conor. Meaning he wants to fight, he wants to get back, and I don't hate him for that. It's too far away. I get, obviously, if Conor was ready to fight today, yes, fine, make the fight. But he's not. So that's the problem. The guy wants to make money, he wants to fight. He's been healthy. Matt Moe, greetings, Ariel. I don't have a question this week. Rather, I wanted to use this opportunity for a PSA that can benefit all fighters. In between rounds in a fight, you will commonly see a fighter's corner rubbing ice on their chest, back, head, and neck. These are the most common areas you will see the ice pack being applied. However, this is not the best way to cool down a fighter between rounds, and it may actually be damaging. Interesting. Current science shows the best way to cool athletes down in preparation for further output is through the glabrous skin areas on the body. Glabrous skin is hairless skin, such as the palms of your hands, soles of your feet, and the skin on your face above the beard line. Wow, Matt Moe coming in with the strong flex. These areas are proven to cool your body temperature down at exponentially faster rates. Wow. Please help spread the word. This is by far the cheapest, most effective, and easiest implementation fight corners can make immediately that will benefit fighter health and safety. Dr. Andrew Huberman is the neurobiologist out of Stanford who I would recommend having on your show to discuss the science behind this. He has an episode on his podcast all about the science of cooling for optimum athletic performance, which I hope people check out. Wow, how about that? That is a tremendous PSA. I wonder if Matt Moe is a doctor of some kind. But there you have it. Cornermen, coaches, listen up to Matt Moe. Persian apothecary. Apothecary? Apothecary? I don't know. I don't know what the hell that is. Bonjour, Ariel. A lot of talk goes online about the cost of UFC pay-per-views and how the price is driving more illegal streamers. Do you think if they made more incentives / achievements for purchases like some fast food apps do, there would be more success? Example, McDonald's and Burger King award users with free food and discounts as purchases are made. Even Audible gives badges to collect, which make it like a video game, much love and butt slaps. It's not a bad idea. I never really thought of that. I've also thought that if they made a package like buy 3, get 1 free, or buy a 6-month this or that, you know what I mean? Like if you pay for Sunday ticket, the full season in one shot, you can get this type of discount. There's all kinds of things that people do. But here's the truth. Their pay-per-view is killing it. If you compare the numbers that they usually give to Sports Business Journal this year to, I don't know, 17, 18, 2017, 18, 2016 was their best year. They had 6 pay-per-views over 1 million. But if you compare the numbers now, they're killing it. The move to ESPN and the exclusive move to ESPN Plus pay-per-view has been a huge, huge win for not only the UFC, but ESPN as well. So they don't really need to do this. Yeah, I know you hear people here and there talking about streaming that, but they're killing it. I don't think you guys understand. Every time they go to an arena now, they're selling it out. The gates are tremendous. The pay-per-view is tremendous. The money that they're saving from the Apex is tremendous. The UFC has never been more lucrative, successful, have never generated more. They are killing. They are on fire right now. On fire. The business is tremendous. Don't get it twisted. You hear from me, other people complaining about this or anything. They are killing it. That's why I said they could go to Marvel Stadium right now with Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway 3 and outdraw Devin Haney and George Kambosos easily from a attendance standpoint and a gate standpoint. They could go anywhere. The appetite for the UFC. And you know what really is, the reason for all of this? It was the move to ESPN. There's no, like, the amount of people that know about the UFC now as opposed to 4 years ago, prior to the move to ESPN, immeasurable. When you're a part of the cycle there, the Sports Center cycle, the machine, the lower, bottom line ticker thingy, you're in that little bottom right corner, like, that stuff is invaluable, priceless. You cannot put a price on that. It is such great marketing. It just gets you. Look at the NHL. NHL, they're on NBC, yeah, whatever. ESPN doesn't cover them. They get to ESPN. Now all of a sudden ESPN's covering them all the time. They're leading Sports Center with them. They're doing this. They're doing that. It's just been a huge, huge success. This is why they wanted to be on ESPN from the jump. So they don't really need to do that stuff. Maz. Hi, Ariel. While listening to your segment with New York Rick last Monday, where you discussed Figueiredo's standpoint on threatening to move up, I thought back to Demetrius Johnson's last appearance on the show. When talking about the state of the flyweight division, he mentioned that the flyweight champion never receives pay-per-view points. Do you believe this is still the case? No. He chose not to because he felt like it was a better investment on his end to just take the upfront money rather than pay-per-view points. Again, a sign of the times at the time. But no, Figueiredo, I'm almost 100% certain, does get that. Do you believe this is still the case? And if so, do you think it is a reason why Figueiredo is flirting with the idea of moving up to bantamweight? No, it's not like there was a period where Stipe wasn't getting pay-per-view points because he said, look, I'll take the guaranteed money because the pay-per-views just aren't doing as well. So it's not a flyweight thing. And I think he just thinks if I move up, there's bigger fights, but ill-advised. I would not move up if I were him. You're a champion. That's your golden ticket to getting a few things here and there that you wouldn't get as a champion. And just because you move up, it doesn't mean you're getting more money. Steven. What's good, Ariel? I know Wonderboy was tweeting at Masvidal in hopes of a potential fight, and I feel like it went a little under the radar. Understandably so. A couple questions. Could this or would this draw enough pay-per-view buyers to satisfy Masvidal, or does he need something bigger? No, Masvidal said last week on the show that he wanted it. What did he say? He said Gilbert, Conor, Wonderboy. Those were the 3 main ones. What's the right way of matching up a fighter that's on their way out? How do you not give them the fights that are too easy, but at the same time preserve their legacy and physical health? Also, happy National Pick Your Poison Day. Wow, that's a good one. All the best from Central PA. I don't mind it. I don't know if there's enough juice there. There's a great story to be told because the Wonderboy fight was the last fight before he went away. Reality show, the resurrection, all that. I still feel like the fight to make. Look, Masvidal is going to be out for a minute because of the pending legal issue with Colby Covington. Colby Covington is probably going to be out for a minute as well, which leads one to wonder what that all means for Khamzat because that was the plan. And so, because he's going to be out, and there's a good chance that he's out for the rest of the year because of this, and because Conor's out, I feel like the timing is going to work. My original goal was MSG. Seems like that's a little bit too soon. That's the fight to make. Max. Hello, Ariel. European MMA is thriving at the moment with KSW, Cage Warriors, Octagon as well, doing big things, and so on. We have multiple top contenders in the UFC from Europe, such as Vittori, Gane, Aspinall, Edwards, and many more in the UK. My question is, why haven't we seen a top talent from Germany yet? Besides the fact that Germany has the largest population in Europe. Greetings from Germany, my man. I wonder. Nice little note here from, did you want to say something, Frank? No. Dennis Siever, obviously. There have been a couple of German names here and there. One reason, and this may not be the only reason, I mean, there haven't been a ton of great German boxers of late. I know, back in the day, Max Schmeling and whatnot, but not a ton. Otto Wallin, was he from Germany? Anyway, for the longest time, the UFC wasn't broadcast in Germany, and they were one of the last remaining countries to legalize mixed martial arts. Could be a reason. Look, they go to the UK, they have the BT Sport deal, they're on TV, they're being, promoted and publicized and marketed. There's a trickle-down effect there. There's young people that grow up watching this and say, I want to be, a fighter rather than a footballer. So that could be the reason. But yeah, I mean, far be it for me to predict or to decipher why, but that could be a reason. I mean, there is definitely a trickle-down effect. They go into these markets, and then all of a sudden you start to see young talent emerge from these markets. They did a few events in Germany back in the day. It was 122 off the top of my head in Germany, I believe so. There hasn't been like a big star. There hasn't been a GSP, a Vince Carter. Like Vince Carter came to Canada, and then all of a sudden all these kids were produced as a result of Vince Carter. Patrick Waugh was a great goalie from Quebec, and all of a sudden you have these other great goalies come out of Quebec. GSP, Canada. You haven't really seen that from Germany, so could be a reason. Oscar, howdy Ariel. Given massive and at times dangerous weight cuts many fighters do to make weight, would you be in favor of putting some limit for weight classes, i.e. must walk around no more than 20 pounds in the weight class you fight in? Conor versus Nate 1 was a great fight in part because neither had to do massive weight cuts. Yes, they like to do this in boxing in some states, and obviously One Championship likes to do this as well. That's their big, I'm down with all of that. I think there's always been a push, and this comes from wrestling, to try and cut, I'm close to 70 or 85. Let me go to the next one down so I'll have the advantage come fight night. In a perfect world, I would love if everyone is fighting closer to their walk-around weight. So yeah, I'm in favor of that. Obviously, with one, there have been questions about their transparency with the weigh-ins, but I do think trying to deter people from cutting massive amount of weight and then rehydrating a ton is the right line of thinking. Pat, hi Ariel, love the show. First time question asker. Welcome. My question is regarding the 275 weigh-ins in Singapore. I saw a tweet from Mike Braun reporting that the 275 weigh-ins would be the old school style and that there would be no 2-hour window to weigh in as we have typically seen in recent years. That is correct. If this is the case, I'm curious as to how you view the decision by the UFC to change the format of the weigh-in seemingly based on the location and timing of the card, especially given the recent controversy that occurred at 274 with Charles Oliveira missing weight and being stripped of the title. One has nothing to do with the other. I see some comments, he continues, online saying that because the UFC rules/formats are not the same for all the fighters from event to event, some people still consider the UFC as more of a prize fighting organization compared to an official sport. So just want to get your thoughts. Thanks, Pat B. No, here's the situation. So the weigh-ins on Friday will take place at 9 a.m. Eastern here in the United States. They will be the old school ones. This is how they've done it when there's that massive time difference and they're doing a pay-per-view over there. So 9 a.m. Eastern time, Friday morning, will be 9 p.m. in Singapore. And so think about it. If they're 12 hours ahead, if the pay-per-view is starting, and that's still Friday night, if the pay-per-view is going to start at, say, 7 p.m., the card starts at 7 p.m. local time, 6:30, whatever. That's 6:30 in the morning over there in Singapore. So these guys they're going to weigh in on Friday night. They're only going to fight Sunday morning because of the time difference. So there's no need to do it even earlier than that and do it the old-fashioned way. Now, it does suck for them that they don't get that 2-hour window, but if you show up and miss weight, you're still going to get the window on the back end. And if you're acclimated to the time difference, now you're getting all day Friday as opposed to morning. I think it's 6 and 1, half dozen the other. But this has nothing to do with what happened in Arizona with Charles, and I'm almost 1,000% certain that come 276 in July, it's back to the previous way. Hey, Ariel, you mentioned on Monday's show that Mark Ratner was your favorite person who works for the UFC. Any chance of interviewing him? This from Lewis. Mark's last appearance may have been when New York legalized MMA March of 2016, back in the old numbered episode days, episode 322. That's pretty amazing. We had John Jones and Joanna on there. I love Mark. No one has been nicer to me over the years at the UFC than him. But I don't want to put him in an awkward spot. I mean, the respect that I have for Mark, the admiration that I have for Mark, the love that I have for Mark is, I mean, immeasurable. I truly do respect that guy. And I would urge everyone listening to this to go and buy his book. It's a great read. It's a fast read. It's a fun read. It's an enlightening read. The man he's like the Forrest Gump of combat sports. The guy was going to fights before there were hotels on the Las Vegas Strip. It's incredible. But I don't want to put him in an awkward spot. I love the guy. Truly. Absolute mensch. And I just, if you're a fan of this show, read his book. It's a really nice book. Guy's watching Sonny Liston and Floyd Patterson fight back then. It's crazy. And then he was the catalyst in getting the sport legalized across the United States.
Can you unpack the comment about him being the Forrest Gump?
Yes.
Thank you.
What do you mean by unpack?
Like
Explain.
Yeah, because
you don't get the reference.
I'm justifying it. I'm like, maybe because he's done a little bit of everything.
Wow. You know what? I appreciate the follow up. This is nice. Nice new wrinkle
See you
to the
sweating a
segment.
little bit there. Yeah.
No, what I mean by Forrest Gump of MMA is, have you seen Forrest Gump, or did that not make the?
Don't insult me.
You know how Forrest Gump shows up in all these famous moments?
Right.
That's what I mean by that.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
The guy has just been there for some of the most like Mike Tyson biting off Vander Holyfield's ear and stuff. Like, he's just there. WrestleMania 9, there. All these famous, MMA and UFC moments, there. So, I mean, yes, omnipresent.
Makes sense. Now, just to make sure we're on the same page, you understand that Forrest Gump wasn't like a real person? You understand that Forrest Gump wasn't a real person?
What do you mean?
Okay,
I've seen him on the screen.
Cool.
I saw him there with John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
That school, I saw him there too. What are you talking about?
What's the next question?
I thought it was a documentary. Patrick, favorite segment of the week. 2 quick questions. Ariel, break the fourth wall for us. Does that Anthony Pettis Wheaties box have cereal in it? And if so, what's the expiration date? Yes, it does. No one's ever asked me this. It's a good one. Here it is. I got it before he fought Gilbert Melendez. Expiration date. Golly. This thing has seen some days. I mean, it came with me to ESPN and then I brought it back. It is a pretty great relic. Oh, yes. Better if used by Frank. Hit the music. No, this is not breaking news. Why would this be breaking news? The music.
What music
Drum roll.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, come on. You think this is breaking news?
I'm excited to
This
know.
is not. November 22nd, 2015. There it is. Oh, I hear you guys. Staying on the cereal theme, what's yours and the crew's favorite cereal of all time? Mine has to be Fruity Pebbles. Tremendous. Also, Ariel, please tell me you use cold oat milk for your cereal and not warm like you do for your other beverages. Yes, cold oat milk, and I've actually snuck it in with my kids recently, and they haven't noticed. I feel weird about cow's milk. But then they have ice cream, so what the hell am I doing? Favorite of all time. Okay, here are a few that come to mind. Frank, feel free to weigh in. Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Crisp, Count Chocula, Fruit Loops not bad. This is like I'm talking about when I was a kid. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Did I say Captain Crunch? I think I did. There was one all-star one with Michael Jordan and Bo Jackson, and I think who was the other one? Michael Jordan, Bo Jackson, and God dang, Wayne Gretzky. That was a fun one. I think there was a Macaulay Culkin one back in the day as well. Oh, you see, New York Rick gets mad at me. He says like I highlight his bad takes, and then he just sent me a message of the worst take of all time, and he's gonna get mad at me because he says I made this happen. I invited this. You really want me to read this? By the way, why aren't you on the Zoom, New York Rick? What's wrong with you? Does he really want me to read this? Nod your head if yes. It's a horrible take. I think Frank is miking up Tim Kennedy, so he can't answer at the moment. What's not true? I mean, this guy's writing me messages. He's writing me horrible takes. And then he's going to get mad at me. He's like, yeah, you invite the horrible takes. Okay, well, this is the take. Drum roll, please. No, I think Frank's busy. Wow. He says he doesn't get mad that I highlight the quote-unquote bad take. It's because I'm lazy. By the way, first time in my life that I've ever been called lazy. You can call me a lot of crazy things. You cannot call me lazy. I mean, this is truly below the belt and insulting. He says, I get lazy and I say everything is a worst take when you disagree. I'll let the people, the public decide. The quote was this: Special K is the best cereal ever and nothing else is close. I mean, that might be the worst take that I've ever heard since Ryan Clark, Mr. Real Casual himself, said that Chris Brown is more talented than Michael Jackson. Now, of course, I'm feeding into it. That's what we do these days. Of course, New York Rick doesn't do this. He actually believes these things. But this is what we do in media in 2022. We have horrible takes. Chris Brown, that's like comparing Rajon Rondo to Michael Jordan. What are you talking about? But then what we do, the best part is, we then double down, triple down, do shows and videos on it, and go parade around town and say that this is actual fact. What an embarrassment. I mean, truly. Chris Brown, Michael Jackson, what are we doing? What is going on? This is why I don't go on Twitter as much anymore, because I see nonsense like this. Nevertheless, I digress. I don't know how I mean, it's maybe one of the worst takes of all time. Number 2 now, we just got it. It's that not only is Special K a good cereal, according to New York Rick, it's the best cereal ever and nothing is even close. What? Here's a breaking news for you. I don't know if I've ever had Special K before. How about that? Honeycombs, Count Chocula. I've had all of those. I like the muesli. I like the granola, all kinds of granola. Hook me up. But Special K is the best cereal ever and nothing is close. One of the all-time worst takes. Alex, good afternoon, Ariel. Oh, actually, I think I see his name here, so don't go very far. I want to clarify the meaning of the word underdog. Oh, here we go. The literal term, underdog and plus odds, do not mean the same thing. The underdog is always plus odds, but the favorite can be too. Betting odds suggest an implied win probability, and you can't have two outcomes expected to win more than 50% of the time. So if a team is minus odds, that means they have a 50% chance or more of winning, and vice versa for plus odds. All right, wah, wah. According to The Athletic, the underdog is the team not expected to win, meaning the term is binary. Either you are an underdog or you are not. Haney by decision is a valid H-Dow. Yes! Frank, hit the music. We got to have celebratory music. What do we got? We fix judging.
That's absolutely incorrect. It doesn't even make sense. First of all, the whole premise is faulty. It doesn't even make sense. There's more than two outcomes. Haney by knockout.
Wait.
Draw.
Haney by decision. That's right. Is capital IS. This is from Alex. Not corporate Alex, is a valid H-Dow. This is the MMA Hour, not the Daily Wager. Shout out to the Daily Wager. You did not know the proper meaning of the word and therefore have branded your weekly picks as H-Dow. Interesting. Most of your picks are underdogs, and it wouldn't make sense to change the brand over one pick. Also, if you bet on both H-Dow, you would be up 0.1 units, assuming you got Haney at plus 10 and Roz at plus odds this weekend, just saying. Oh, Rosenstrike. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Just say, I mean.
So what is he even saying? Like, that makes no sense. So essentially what he's saying is what I said last week, that it's a branding thing. And yeah, let's just rebrand it.
What do we call it? What do we call it?
Plus money, whatever. Nah. Whatever Helwani wants at plus money of the week. But yeah, I mean, clearly that's two people who have now said, yeah, it's not an underdog.
We did it. We've been proven right, Frank.
Yeah, they're not even hitting that music.
Well, it was just funny listening to that dry clap.
Wow.
There we go.
Rami, dear Ariel, I'll keep this short like Henry Cejudo. Oh my. What's the laziest habit you have that you wish you could break? Wow. That is a tough one. What is the lazy? Well, my wife will tell you that I don't close cupboards, that I'm notorious for keeping cupboards. This is her number one pet peeve.
I can relate to that.
You do that a lot, or your wife does it?
I do that a lot.
I don't know why I do it. I feel like I like to keep things inclusive. I do that also. She gets annoyed that sometimes I'll leave my. Now I'm really I'm really opening you up into the world of Helwani. Sometimes I'll leave my PJs on the bed. The reason I do that is I like to have them readily available for when I'm going to bed again. She thinks that's annoying. What do you think of that, Frank?
Yeah.
That's too much?
Too much.
So I guess the laziest habit that I have is, because it really bothers her, is I don't close the doors, the cupboards, all that stuff. What is it called? The cupboard door? What is that called? A cupboard?
Cupboard door?
Cupboard door, yeah, something. That would be it. Abe, earlier this week, you said Volk versus Max 3 draws more at Marble Stadium than Haney versus Kambosos. 100% agree, which links to my frustration. The UFC continued to use the O2 Arena in London. The affordable face value tickets always literally sell out in 10 minutes, meaning hardcore fans like myself may never attend a UFC event unless we're willing to part with over several £100s on the resale. My main point is, don't UFC do more stadium shows? Why don't they? Yes, thank you. Lewis put in the why. Unbelievable. I've heard Dana say he prefers the feeling/atmosphere at indoor arenas. So is it just down to this, Dana's preference? Kinda. If not, surely a bigger gate, bigger event and platform for the fighters and companies is a no-brainer. Am I missing something obvious here? P.S. I'll also be at Clash at the Castle in Cardiff. Hope we somehow cross paths. Your boy, Abe. Well, I hope to see you there as well. Dana doesn't love the outdoor stadiums. They have been to Marvel. / Etihad in the past. Of course, 193, 243 were there. Can I just tell you, I don't know. He doesn't like, one thing that's kind of getting a little bit frustrating, if I may, I see him doing interviews with Aaron Bronstetter and all these guys. He's like, until the world opens up. The world has opened up, man. How long are we going to allow this to be a thing? Now, he says, okay, Canada, you need everyone on the card to be fully vaccinated. That's fine. I'm pretty sure they could do a card with that. If not, all right, fine. But you could do an event in any city in America at this point, and as witnessed by this weekend at Marvel Stadium, you can go to Australia, you can go anywhere in Europe, you can go to Singapore. Why is this still being allowed as a talking point? I don't understand it. I really don't. Yesterday, I reported that the targeted location for the August 13th fight night, Chito Vera versus Dominic Cruz, which, by the way, as of 12:30, Dominic still had not agreed to it. So, neither here nor there. We don't like to get into those kinds of semantics, but we like to take shots about other things. I reported it was Boston. I can assure you, and y'all could believe me or not, and if any one of those, media guys want to press on this, you'll get the answer that I'm telling you. I can assure you the spot was Boston for that. Now, I am happy to hear that they changed it to San Diego. That's the new spot. When he said that, no one had been told, including some important people. I'm not going to reveal sources. But San Diego makes a hell of a lot more sense for Chito versus Cruz. Cruz lives there. Chito also lives in Southern California. Two Hispanic fighters with Hispanic backgrounds, right? Fighting in Southern California makes a hell of a lot more sense than Boston. Boston would have been a cool story because Dominic Cruz won the belt there many moons ago, 2016, January. But, this makes a lot more sense. Could I be so bold? Do you think, New York Rick, that there's a chance that they changed the location because I reported it? Or is that too much?
Absolutely.
Oh, you think there is a chance?
What's the opposite of the Helwani rub? What's the opposite of the Helwani bump? You've now shifted an entire fight card.
I'm going to take credit, Frank. We're taking credit. I don't know if you know this, for shifting the entire fight card.
All right, then.
It was like...
Can I just say how incredible it is that you called it gate? That you tweeted Boston
Gate. That was the
Boston
best part.
Gate.
Yeah.
We're 5 minutes into a conversation about it. It's not really that.
Oh, that was the best thing. Oh, first of all, there's a part of me is like, I really don't care. I really don't care. I don't even know why I concern myself with this stuff. But the best was like, Ariel Helwani, how would he know? And I like
Robbie
Barstool. I have no issues with him. He used to think that I had an issue with him. I have no issues with him whatsoever. There's room for everyone. Everyone has a lane. He works hard. Honestly, no issues. But like, oh, how would he know? What do you mean? Maybe the 1,000 other stories that I got right over the course of my career, maybe that would be some sort of indication that I know things. Or how about the fact that I talk to a lot of people? I mean, like, it's not the hardest thing to ask someone, where's this fight happening?
But can you do it one more time? Do it again, because you haven't done it enough. Let's just
Voice?
do one more.
The Voice?
No, you could do that. I'm saying you haven't broken enough news.
Oh, right. I need one more. Yeah, you're right. All right.
You need one more to really set the record.
But by the way, you're welcome, San Diego. I would like to say you're welcome for giving you this great fight. I am sorry, Boston. I never liked you anyway. And so this is another victory. Buffalo, big win over New England. Knicks had the big win over the Celtics. RJ Barrett, buzzer beater, pretty much changed the course of your season. You're welcome for that as well. You're welcome, San Diego, and tough noogies, Boston. Okay, I'm sorry. Next time I'll keep it to myself. All right. McKinney, hi Ariel. My question today pertains to the most recent UFC Apex spectacle between Pinky Boy and Drago. I love these questions. You're always one that correctly points out the various manners in which the UFC is able to cheapen out in certain aspects of their product to save as much money as possible. But this weekend, I couldn't help but notice that they were back to their old tricks by having predominantly ATT fighter base competing in Tiki's fighters, so they only had to fly out a few corners. I don't know. That could be a coincidence. Listen, I'm going to tell it like it is, and I'll say when it's, questionable, when it's not. That feels like a questionable one. Is there any other way you believe that the UFC is able to conserve money, or is it merely coincidental that these fighters happen to all bouts at the same time? I feel like it was coincidental in that one. Viva La Helwani from Derry, Ireland. But hey, there's no doubt about this. And this has been the case for years. You're managed by certain people, you're going to get certain things. Dana has a great relationship with Tiki, you're going to get opportunities. That really, look no further than Volkov getting 9 straight main events. He's managed by Tiki. And look, that it's a relationship business. There is no meritocracy. It's a relationship business. If you can have that relationship and serve your clients, God bless. That's the way this game goes. Keith, bonjour, Ariel, and Lewis. In your opinion, is MMA on a guaranteed upswing, edging towards mainstream sports, or is there still risk of it going backwards in popularity? Living in Canada, I remember the enthusiasm about 10 years ago, bars and restaurants showing events most people I knew at least casually following. Anecdotally, none of that happens in my area or friend group anymore. I think MMA is hot, very hot in America, in United States of America, in the US of A. I think it is a lot colder in Canada. I think in Canada, it was at its peak, obviously, with George St. Pierre, when you have a face, when you have a star, when you have a hero that is at the very top of the sport who happens to be from your country. Big deal, 55,000 plus, Sky Dome, Rogers Center. You know the story, 83, 97, 124. These are the numbers of events that happen in Montreal. It's all because of George. They don't have that guy at the moment. They don't have anyone near that guy. They don't even have a Roy McDonald at this point, who was on the verge of becoming champion at least once. So the sport is hurting. I personally think, I hope I'm not offending anyone here, I think Sportsnet probably did a better job of covering the sport and shining a light on the sport, Rogers Sportsnet, than TSN. Feels like a little bit more of an afterthought on TSN than it did on Rogers. Rogers basically said they couldn't afford it anymore once they got the big NHL deal. As opposed to here, they're on ESPN. They're getting all the coverage online, on TV and all that. The sport is on fire. The sport is on fire here. And I think that the daily fantasy, the betting, all that has helped it very much. Canada's been a little slower in that regard. Maybe that changes once all the provinces jump on board. But yeah, there's a big difference between the US and Canada right now in terms of the popularity of the sport. And I think it's because of all those things I just discussed. Wow, Bronstetter is mentioned in this question. Liam, hey-o, Ariel, when are we going to get the cheery double Aaron? Why do you write it like this? A-Ron Bronstetter or the Grumpy Fox Luke Thomas on as a guest to discuss a fun topic of MMA that we can /really, why do you write this? This is bizarre. We can really explore all avenues and tilt the angry chat even more. Sending my love to you and yours because that's the bottom line. I like Aaron a lot. And Luke and I are buds now. The beef has been squashed. The one-sided beef has been squashed. But, I mean, we've got a great crew of guys here at MMA Fighting, and I don't know. When are they going to have me on their show? How about that? Huh? Why do I have to be the one to have them on my show? Why can't they have me on their show? Huh? What about that? Joe, hey Ariel, which fighters do you have a love-hate relationship with? The ones that you love to watch in the octagon but can't stand outside of it. The obvious ones for me are Sean Strickland, Colby Covington, and John Jones. Have a great weekend, and thanks for all that you do. I don't really have a love-hate relationship with anyone. Like, I don't really hate any of these guys. I don't know. None really comes to mind. Do you have a love-hate relationship with anyone near Crick?
No, I can't. I can't find it in me to hate somebody.
The ones that kind of grind our gears, I feel like, are just kind of playing a character. Micro Panda, What does Max do if he loses to Volk again? He will be at a dead end in the division, a gatekeeper for the title. Does he move to 55? He's talked about it. He's still young, could take a year off to add muscle to his frame. Here's the thing. He's still supremely popular even without the belt. So I don't think he needs the belt to be popular. Will it make him even more popular? Maybe, perhaps. But he has proven since he lost the belt that he doesn't necessarily need the belt to be the most popular fighter in the division. He still is, but I do believe that Volk is getting more and more popular over time. So I don't think it's like one of those things where it's like a Joe Benavidez one where the belt would make him more popular. Max is already super popular. Taco Enthusiast. Hi, Ariel. I lived in Ecuador for many years and became a huge fan of Chito Vera while there. In 2018, 4 random guys stabbed me 6 times in total while I was running an errand 2 blocks from my apartment in Quito. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Wow. Needing an outlet, I started doing some MMA training a few months later in a nearby gym. Everybody there was nuts about Chito, so I joined the crowd. His hard work ethic and authenticity got me through a super intense recovery. Chito is truly I'm getting kind of goosebumps here. Chito is truly the fighter that got me into MMA, and I've loved watching him on his recent run. Not a question there. Just wanted to give him his props. He's a man of the people. I posted a video of him. He sent this to me. He went to go pick up his nephew at school. He's in Ecuador now. He's being showered with praise. It's a beautiful thing. And the guy was just, it was a superstar coming to town. And everyone wanted to take selfies with him, autographs. Amazing. I can't imagine what it would be like if they ever did a fight in Ecuador for him. I don't know if they can, if it's lucrative, if it's, if they have the arena, but man, what a star. Beautiful. And no joke. One of the nicest guys that I've met covering the sport, and enough good things can happen for him and his family. My question is this. If he beats Dominic Cruz, what are the odds he gets a title shot after that? I feel like the UFC doesn't give him the respect he deserves. They are missing an opportunity to expand in Latin America beyond Brazil by not hyping him up more. Fighting Colombia, Ecuador, Panama, Chile could be huge for the brand. Thoughts? Yeah, I don't know if he gets the title shot, but he'd probably be like 1 away. There's still a few guys there. Aldo, if he wins, would be ahead of him because he has the win over him. But, yeah, I think he'd be 1 away. Olajuwon Dream, Afternoon Ariel. Did you see Rolling Stone's top 200 hip-hop albums of all time? Oh, I think Frank will have a say about this. They have Cardi B's Invasion of Privacy at 16. What? Ahead of Nas's Illmatic at 24. WTF. Absolute blasphemy, he says. They have Biggie's Ready or Die at number 1, though. Not bad. So I'm just wondering, what are your top 5 hip-hop albums of all time? Keep up the great work. These are the top 10. By the way, you know about this, Frank? Do you see this?
I haven't seen it yet.
Top 10, Notorious B.I.G., Ready to Die, 94. Outkast, Stankonia, 2000. Jay-Z, The Blueprint, 2001. Public Enemy, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, 88. Kendrick Lamar, To Pimp a Butterfly, in 2015. Kanye West, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, 2010. Missy Elliott, Miss E, So Addictive, 01. Wu-Tang Clan, Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers. I was going to mention that if it didn't make the cut. Tribe Called Quest, The Low End Theory, and then Lauryn Hill's The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill in 98. In 98, Drake, number 11, would Take Care.
Wow.
What do you think of that?
I mean,
Any egregious ones jump out
I
at you?
wouldn't put Missy Elliott above Lauryn Hill, but whatever. That's another thing. It's like a lot of these get judged by like units sold,
Yeah.
which makes no sense. To
Right.
Me.
Yeah. Kanye's first album is like start to finish one of my favorites. Graduation Day,
Yeah.
tremendous. I would have that up there. I mean, right. And by the way, no Tupac? Did I read that
Noticed
correctly?
That too, yeah.
What the hell?
Interesting. Not my favorite list.
No Tupac? Where is Tupac? Let me see. I've clicked on the. When does he come in? When Dr. Dre 2001. What about Chronic?
Right. All of his albums.
Eric B. Yes. By the way, I kind of feel like Eminem deserves a shout out.
Yeah,
Early days Eminem.
Even the Marshall Mathers.
Yes.
Rookie, yeah. The
Cardi
Gray
B.
album, which was the Jay-Z Danger Mouse one,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah.
Wow. I'm at 20. No sign of Tupac. DMX. It's Dark and Hell's Hot, number 22. I might have that a little higher. Nas Illmatic at 24, as you mentioned. Marshall Mathers LP at 25.
Sacrilege.
Yeah. Wow. Where the hell is Tupac? Mobb Deep, 28. Tupac, All Eyes on Me, 29.
Wow.
That can't be. What is this?
It's a sham is what it is.
That is a sham. Tupac has to be in the top 10. What are you talking about? Snoop Dogg Doggy Style, 93, 35.
That's, yeah. All right.
That's legendary. By the way, one of my favorites of all time was Warren G. Regulate. That was a tremendous one. I was a big fan of the Fugees. I was a big fan of Wyclef's first album. I don't know if that would make the cut on many people's lists.
It's a pretty good album. I remember when it came out. It was the right time.
Chronic. The Chronic 40. The hell? Is Graduation Day not even here? Run DMC. L Cool J. I'm at 47 now. What's 50? NWA Straight Outta Compton? I mean, it's just like that. That's like revolutionary Straight Outta Compton.
What number was that?
49.
It's okay. So,
EPMD.
I think they're just trying to
Get people talking.
Yeah.
This is like saying Chris Brown is more talented than Michael Jackson. Did you hear this?
I did not hear that. And I can't believe that sentence has been uttered.
That has been uttered by someone who works for ESPN, a real casual. Crazy. Oops. I lost my thing. Just a couple more left here. Where are we? Oh, no. Why did I do that? Yeah, that's I don't agree with any of those. Good question. I'm fine with the number one, but Tupac being that low, that's insane. Where is this? All right. No soup for you. Okay, you asked for the hard question, so here is one. Do you regret the time at ESPN while defending Stephen A? You called yourself an ESPN shill and proud of it. We love you, Ariel, but that was pretty lame stuff. Surely you have to agree. Everyone here seems to repeat the same questions and a lot of softballs, so I'm here to ask the juicy ones. I mean, no offense with these questions, and they are genuine. So that is my question of this week. I have more for the weeks to come. You're the best. Hashtag mama knows. Then Lewis writes, I cannot find any record of the shill comment. New soup is referring to January 2020 and the fallout from Stephen A. and the Cowboy Conor comments. You interviewed Stephen A. at the time, but there was no shill speak. I did tweet one time, listen, I don't regret that. And maybe shill wasn't the right word, but even that, like if you want to pin that on me, I remember tweeting that I was very, very proud to work for ESPN, that I was very proud to, I mean, that was a dream job for me. No doubt about that. And I have no regrets and I have no hard feelings. And obviously I didn't know how it all pan out, but I don't regret that at all. You have to understand when you're a kid growing up and you're watching ESPN in a hotel room and you come from Canada and you don't get ESPN and you have no place to watch basketball highlights and, you know, they're barely covering the NFL at the time in Canada. And you go here and it's like, wow, 24/7 of NBA and NFL and all this stuff. And you're like, holy crap, this is incredible. This feels like Valhalla. This feels like, you know, you've died and got to heaven as a sports fan. That was the dream. And I was very, very proud of it. And I remember telling my wife at the beginning of the pandemic, when the book is written about the pandemic and who stepped up for ESPN, I want my name written in the lead. I want to be one of those guys that they mention. Now, you could say afterwards that, you know, I wasn't appreciated, that things happened, that, you know, whatever, but I tried my best. And in the end, as I've mentioned before, there was an offer. I decided to look elsewhere. I found many fun, lucrative opportunities, much like this one. And I just felt like it would be better to move on. But made it to the end. So no hard feelings. Had I been let go because of pressure from the UFC or Dana White, as was tried, yeah, there would be hard feelings. But they did right by me until the very end. And even like when I was on Le Batard's show 2 weeks after, and I feel like even that was twisted. I was never talking about ESPN. I know all that was UFC, the way they promoted my shows and all this, or didn't. And then they went hard with the new shows. I know they had their hands tied, but look, they put me on NBA. They didn't have to do that. They gave me OTL. They didn't have to do that. They gave me an E60 piece. They didn't have to do that. They gave me ESPN radio. They didn't have to do that. None of these things were in my contract. All of these things were extra, and I didn't get paid extra for them either, and I didn't want to. I wanted to try to make the most of my time there because in the back of my mind, I knew that the time was going to be limited. I knew my days were limited there from the get-go. Not when I initially agreed, but like once I got through those doors, I'm like, oh, I'm swimming upstream here, and there's multiple people coming for my head. They're either going to fold like others did in the past, or I'm going to make it to the end here, and that will probably be it, one and done. And so I tried to add as much possible to my plate. I tried to do as much as possible. NBA sidelines, great. OTL, great. E60, great. SportsCenter spots, great. ESPN radio, great. None of that was part of the original deal. So why would that be lame? Why would I regret that? I was proud to work for the company the same way I'm proud to work for this company and all the other people I'm working with. That's just the way I am. I get to provide for my family covering MMA. I get to provide, a great life for my kids, for my wife. Why would I be upset about that? ESPN isn't the devil like you guys think it is. Stephen A isn't a bad dude. Stephen A actually would come up to me like, are his takes off? Is this off? No, we could debate that all, and that's all inconsequential crap. Stephen A, for me personally, every time I would see him at the Seaport on campus, he would go out of his way to be kind to me, to give me props, text me, shout me out. Why would I hate that man? Other people did that as well. Other people didn't. But as far as I'm concerned, Stephen A was a good teammate. And I like what? So he spoke about Don Cerrone. Oh, wow. Silliness. So no. To recap, I don't regret it. I wouldn't take it back. I was very proud, and I am very proud. I'm a kid from Montreal. I went to Herzliya High School. People like me don't make it to ESPN. And I'm not saying that like I overcame some, crazy situation. No, I had a great life and parents who supported me, but it was a hard ass road to get there. I graduated in 2004 and I made it in 2018. I was proud of that. No regrets and no hard feelings as well. I can honestly say that. David M. Ariel, in order, who are the top 5 draws in the UFC at the moment? Also, one for the whole crew. You are all gathered and playing Mario Kart. Who is most likely to come out in first place and which character is the go-to? I'll answer that one first. I would be first place, and it would probably be with Yoshi or the Ghost guy.
I would put my money on Conor.
Why? Because he's the youngest?
Yeah, didn't he like talk about he's got GameCube and playing these Nintendo games and all that? So yeah, I'm putting the money on Conor.
What about me versus you?
In Mario Kart?
Yeah.
I'm a little rusty. You playing with your kids or no?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, then you got me. You got me. Listen, I'm not too proud. You got me.
But they beat me. So
that's
top 5 draws at the moment in the UFC. I mean, Conor obviously number 1. Diaz number 2. Man, that is a really good. I mean, the UFC is the number 1 draw. The brand is the draw at the moment. Good spot to be in.
I mean, Usman's got to be up there, right?
Is Usman up there, or is he a byproduct of really good, hot matchups? Intense rivalries.
Yeah, it's possible.
Masvidal
it's hard to say.
You know what I mean?
This is. I mean, this argument, this philosophical question is why I don't understand why you're so sure that Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia are selling 1 million and Oscar De La Hoya is saying 1.5. Like, pay-per-view is such a weird market right now.
But no, it goes back to the point that I just made about Usman. It takes two to tango. If you get that magic, if you get that rivalry, if you get that heat.
But does it? I mean, even that doesn't do $1 million anymore. Not these days.
Man, pay-per-view is doing great these days. ESPN Plus pay-per-view, they're getting 500,000 for these like crappy cards.
That's 500,000. $1 million is so hard. But yeah, I mean, look, Conor, Nate. I mean, what would that do? It would explode. It would crush right now.
So Usman's up there. Izzy, I know he hasn't had.
I feel like Usman over Izzy, right? Like if we're doing a ranking at the moment.
But again, Izzy's fighting guys that there's no heat.
Exactly.
If Izzy had an opponent that, like even Whitaker, if he just brought a little bit more out of him,
I almost feel like it's fair to say like what you said. It's UFC as the brand, and it's Conor. That's it. Like those are the only known quantities. Everything else is like, what's the matchup? Who's fighting? Exactly. How can we build the story? It's really Conor and UFC. That's it.
Francis, man. Charles, man.
Depends.
Yeah, it depends on the matchup. Dustin is up there, but his matchups were big. Got to give credit to Colby. Colby, he delivered with Woodley. At the time, it was their most watched fight night on Plus.
Yeah.
The title fights have delivered. But yeah, I don't. It's real. I mean, it's Conor. I think Nate. I think in terms of I could speak to guys like who, if they come on the show, they will draw big numbers. Conor, Nate, Usman obviously not on the show, but I would imagine he would do pretty well. Colby, Masvidal, even though that's probably gone down a little bit. Chandler, Dustin, they do big numbers. But yeah, number one is UFC by far.
The thing with this though is like, and what makes it hard is two things. One, to Devin Haney's point, like social media ain't the thing, right? Like that doesn't necessarily mean it. And what a guy, like if they put, just as a thought experiment, if they put a guy like Sean O'Malley atop a pay-per-view versus like Glover versus Yuri, which one gets more? Just because he's not like a traditional headliner at this moment, it's like what would draw more? So the pay-per-view stars, the ones that people might actually plop money down for, might not necessarily be the ones that are headlining pay-per-views right now. It's kind of a wild world. I've never had a harder time kind of like quantifying who's actually like moving the needle on pay-per-view than I have now.
Good people, bad intentions. There's 3 left. This question relates to language, much like the title of the On the Nose segment this week. First, I wrote Parlez-vous français. That was because GC was in France. First, I want to commend you, Ariel, as whenever you speak with a fighter whose native language is not English, oftentimes you try to greet them in their own language. Yes, I tried to do that with Carlina, but I think it's Dojen Dobre, something like that. You also go to great lengths to try and learn to pronounce their names correctly, with an exception of Jorge Masvidal. I don't think he will ever accept how you say his name. I mean, it's the right way. Some people call him George, for goodness sakes. Oftentimes, when you speak normally, you will use French terms like raison d'être and Yiddish terms like mensch. I was wondering, if you were able to speak about your experience growing up in Montreal, did you have many opportunities to engage with cultures from around the world? And can you speak about your view of the importance of learning other languages and customs, particularly when it comes to work? Thank you. Wow, what a great question. Yes, I was around a lot of people who English wasn't their first language. My parents, number one. Mom from Lebanon, dad from Egypt. Their first language growing up was Arabic. Their second language was French. Their third language was English. And they primarily spoke to each other in either Arabic or French. I don't recall, unless they were kind of speaking with us, them actually speaking to each other in English. It was always either French or Arabic. So I was around that. Same with my grandparents. Same with my, my immediate family, uncles, aunts, cousins, etc. And, I grew up speaking French. That's a big thing. 50% of your day in Quebec as a student is in French. I went to a Hebrew school, so I learned how to speak Hebrew. I understood Arabic. I can speak a little bit of it. Kind of understand Spanish. I took that in CEGEP. CEGEP is something that is only in Quebec. We graduate from high school in grade 11, 11th grade, as they say here, and then we get 2 years of CEGEP and then 3 years of university, so I took Spanish there. And yeah, I was just around a lot of people who English, quite frankly, wasn't their first language. A lot of immigrants, a lot of people who weren't born in Canada. And I have family in Italy. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's the respectful thing to do. I think it's a weird thing to try to make people talk like you, act like you, speak like you have to try to show them respect by saying their name the right way, how they want it to be said, and try to make them feel comfortable and show a little bit of respect. So these things are very, very important to me. But yeah, over time, I always thought it was just normal and common. But as I've gotten older and you meet people, like even my wife, her family, her immediate family, and even, further down the line, they're all from Canada. So she didn't grow up with as much of the sort of immigrant mentality that I did, and was exposed to as many different languages and customs and cultures as we were growing up. And I kind of took that for granted as a kid, even the food that we ate, and, just the way of life was completely different than a lot of the people that I meet now who kind of grew up in America in English-speaking homes, and have a lot more appreciation for it now than I did as a kid, because as a kid, you just think that's the way it is. That's the way it is for everyone. But the food I ate was very non-traditional in terms of Canadian cuisine, if you will. A lot of, Middle Eastern food. And now I'm incredibly, appreciative for it. As I said, that first grade birthday, my mom put the hot dog in the pita bread, and I was a little embarrassed of that. But now I would love to have a hot dog and a pita bread. It would be tremendous. So yeah, I appreciate the question. It's a great question. And, my first language was actually French. I spoke French up until I was 4, and I went to pre-K, and they actually didn't accept me because I couldn't speak English. And we actually had to go home. My mom taught me the basics, and then I was able to go back to the school a few months later. Now, of course, my French sucks, and I'm always speaking English, but my first language when I was born for the first few years was French. Everything I remember watching as a kid was in French. Nursery I went to was in French. That's just the way it is when you're growing up there. Brett K. Ça va, Ariel? Ça va? As MMA fans, we often become desensitized to the brutality of the sport over time. Throughout your time watching the sport, has there been any particular brutal KOs that stuck with you, perhaps making you want to take a break from watching the sport afterwards? Well, there was just a horrible one in boxing, and we just found out, unfortunately, that the fighter passed away, I believe in South Africa. That's horrible. And there are definitely some in boxing where you see the guy going through the ropes. We saw that recently with Mick Conlon. It makes you feel a little uncomfortable. In MMA, you are uncomfortable sometimes when you see these guys who are already out, and then the punches get, added on. You're like, that was very unnecessary, but you get it because of the adrenaline. I believe, if I'm being honest, I've become a lot more desensitized to all of that. It's really, and this is a shoot. I mean, it's when you find out about the things about the pay. It's knowing the risks that they're taking, the damage that they take, and what their life is like post-fighting, and knowing what they don't get and how they're, I think, mistreated. That turns me off more than a KO. The KO is like something that everyone knows, everyone accepts. There's no way to run from it, hide from it. Like, this is what you sign up from the get-go. It's the other stuff that really turns me off. There's kind of a piece in at least knowing that, like, a Devin Haney is making $3 million to fight. I said on Monday it was 2.8. It was 3, I found out. And Kambosos is closer to 6 as opposed to 10. So I want to correct that record. But it's like when you know that, when you are armed with the knowledge that at least for their troubles, for their risks, they are at least in a position to take care of their families, to live somewhat of a comfortable life, money or not, the punches are still going to affect you. You can at least, I think, come to terms with it. When you know that they are exposing themselves to that, but then also with very little to show for it afterwards, that's the part that doesn't sit well with me. Last one. Jesus Alvarez. Excellent day to you, Mr. Helwani. Thanks again for getting to my question last week. I'm now 2-0 with having my question end the show. I'm liking the streak. It's now 3-0. Thanks to Lewis. On Monday, there were discussions about the interim belt and what the value of that truly is. I ultimately do believe that the interim belts dilute the value of the championship belts, but it's more important to realize how the UFC uses them as a tool to give less control to their fighters. In the organization that is the UFC, what your title is matters. Whether you are a champion, a contender, a ranked or unranked fighter, all these employees use their title to negotiate what they get in the company. To me, it seems like the UFC is shooting themselves in the foot because of the message it gives to their fighters. If the UFC can just hand out what's supposed to be the most coveted opportunity in their organization, then what is the point of climbing the ranks? Because of how the UFC is set up, wouldn't it make more sense from a fighter's perspective to make it a popularity contest? Kind of is. A perfect example would be Nate Diaz, getting torched for 25 minutes only to be admired and declared the people's winner after his most recent fight. We've heard from multiple fighters speak about this subject in detail, most recently O'Malley and Pimblett. I'd enjoy to hear you elaborate on my train of thought again. Thank you for your time. Mi compa, similar meaning to mensch. Best regards, Jesus, MMA fan and contributor. That's always going to be, again, like I said, it's not a meritocracy. And there are some guys, like I said with Max Holloway, some guys who don't need the belt to get over, some guys who don't need the belt to be a very popular fighter. Max is one of them. Diaz is one of them. O'Malley is one of them. Paddy Pimblett is one of them. There are other fighters who need the belt to gain popularity. I think a Volkanovski would be one of them. I think in Usman it has helped. To a degree, I think it has helped the Valentina and Amanda Nunes, etc. So you have some fighters like Conor who don't need to be champion ever again. Of course, it would be great for them and their brand and all that if they do, but they don't need it in order to be rich and famous. That's just ultimately the way you sell yourself, the way you promote yourself, the way you try to get yourself over. That's never going to change. So why I would say I'm in favor of an interim belt in this case with Kai Kara France and Brandon Moreno is because I think they would benefit. They would get the rub from the belt. Some people give the rub to the belt. Other people get the rub from the belt. In this case, I think they would get the rub from the belt. And they would get the pay-per-view points and they would get a bump in pay. And so that's why ultimately I'm in favor of it. And I see people saying like, oh, don't try to treat the fighters with kid gloves. I'm not treating the fighters with kid gloves. They're going out there to fight in a cage fight, for goodness sakes. I'm just trying my best as we talk about great 275 card and as we talk about this great matchup and that great fight and that, while we're talking about this, I'd like to try and shine a light on what these men and women have to go through, because what they want you to know about is just this fight versus this fight, and then next week it's this fight versus this fight, and then next week it's this, and this is the best fight in this fight. I can't do that. I can't cover the sport that way. I can't talk about the sport that way. If my coverage was still that this is going to be the best fight and you should be talking about why this is a stacked card, and then next week it's the most stacked card, and then next week it's the most stacked fight night of all time, and then the week after it's the greatest international fight weekend, I wouldn't be doing my job. Not after all these years. So given the access that I have, given the relationships that I am privy to and have developed, if I'm not shining a light on that part of the sport, I don't think that I'm doing my job. And you may be tired of it. You may not like it. You may be annoyed. You may not want to hear it. And that's fine. But that's the best way that I could cover the sport. Telling you about the Carolina. We don't talk about anything money, this and that with Carolina. Telling you about those stories. Telling you about the Glovers. Telling you about the Yiris and the Valentinas and all these great special human beings. But also it's important to talk about the things that we talked about with Tim today. I feel very strongly of that. I also feel very strongly that my son has a football game at 6 that I'd like to attend. Last Friday, it was one of the greatest moments. I actually started crying. Dump pass at like the 5-yard line, and he went down the field, zig, zag, evading multiple flag takers, if you will, scored a touchdown. I'm running down. My big regret, I wasn't filming it, but there's like, I'm crying. I'm crying like the people are like, it's an MMA show. I was crying like those people. And it was just an amazing, amazing moment. The joy that I get out of watching my kids play sports is really unlike anything that I've ever experienced. My wife has actually traveled more than I have in the last 3 months. She's got the multiple trips for work and whatnot. And I'm just, Mr. Dad. I'll be Mr. Dad. I'll stay home and cover it from our great studio here, cover the great sport of MMA and a little sweet science for you just to educate all you casuals. And I'll be right back here on Monday to do the whole damn thing all over again. A post pay-per-view Monday. What's better than that? UFC 275. It goes down this Saturday. Normal time, by the way. 10 p.m. Eastern main card, 7 p.m. Pacific. Glover, Yuri, Joanna, Zhang, Valentina, Tyla, and on it goes.